Hey y'all, hey, welcome to Melvina Motivates, the podcast. In this space, we are going to laugh, cry, but mostly heal and laugh some more. It is my goal to take you from stuck to your absolute greatest by sharing my personal healing journey with you. I am clear that my life's purpose is to be a safe space and place for others so that they can return to their true self. Hop along for the ride. You won't be disappointed. So again, welcome to Melvina Motivates, the podcast. Woo! All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 10. It's the final episode of season 1, and I'm already lit from the libations that are in the space. And I'm lifted off the energy that's in this room. I'm so excited for the guests that I had in season 1 to return and come back to close out season 1 with me in episode 10. So, of course, over here to my left is Mr. Prince Drive himself, and to my far left is Miss Beautiful RemeD of FixdRoots, and we are going to have fun. I don't know how long this episode is going to be because we just going to do our thing here, and we just want to welcome you guys to episode 10. So I want to start off with some shout outs. Definitely have to shout out to all the listeners. I got to give y'all some stats. We international over here at Melvina Motivates.
Yes, sir.
We are in different countries, and I'm excited about that. Who knew? Who knew? A girl that went from having a podcast that was, a dream, a thought, to it being on paper, to now literally closing out the very first season. And to know that according to the SoundCloud stats, we are, again, international. So just to name a few places that Melvina Motivates is listened to. Of course, we're in the United States, we're in Egypt, we're in Bangladesh, United Kingdom, the Russian Federation, Sweden, France, Liberia, Germany, Australia, Puerto Rico, New Zealand, and then Ukraine, just to name a few. Yes. So far we have a total of 264 listens, and we have 36 hearts. Go us. 4 replays and 24 comments. Yeah. So shout out to all of that. Now, gotta give a special shout out to all of the consistent and faithful listeners, and let me tell you who those people are. Okay. First and foremost, shout out to Aisha Walker. She always listens and comments. Thank you, girl. I appreciate you. If nobody's got a comment, Aisha is. Yes. Shout out to my brother who listens. Of course, Mr. Drive. He listens to the, finished product himself. You got Mr. Jordan. Got my girl Melody. You got Bosaday. You have Miss Phillips. You got Trick Daddy D, a.k.a. Cush Champ, a.k.a. Carly. She on SoundCloud is Trick Daddy D. You got my girl Jenny. Got a couple of other people who are obviously in the international space. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your names, but thank you guys. Shout out to RemeD too for taking a listen and always giving me dope reviews and sending them personally to my phone for me to read them. So thank you to all of those who've listened, supported, commented, shared, all of that. So shout out to that for our first season. So, and of course, this wouldn't be possible without Prince. He is the man behind the production. He's back with us again.
Let's go.
He's the man behind the production. Episode 1, we started off with a different little beat, different theme. He found something that did us better, and that's what you hear at the beginning and the end of every episode. So shout out to his ear. Shout out to him being able to know what sound effects need to go where, and his ability to master the product. So what do you want to say to the people, Mr. Drive?
I ain't got too much to say. I just want to say I love y'all. This has been a great experience. I never did a podcast before. Never featured on one or even did anything audio, but I'm more than confident in my abilities.
Shout out to that. Yep. And his mom definitely put me on. She was like, my son can do that. I was like, let me call him. and he's been riding the wave with us since. So All right, so RemeD, tell us about your interview. How did you feel when you did it?
Oh man, the interview was awesome. Because of the space that I'm in, I never intend on doing interviews, but it was great. It just felt like a normal conversation you and I have, minus the microphone and the international listeners. But I'm so grateful for you creating a space for those of us willing to tell our stories through the things that we do, which is our purpose. So
absolutely.
Shout out to Mel.
Shout out.
Go me. Go me. So tell us about when you did your interview. How did you feel? What were some takeaways?
Well, kind of to play out what RemeD said, it was just like a regular conversation that we on the phone, for real. So it was like I'm at home, for real. Plus we had some FixdRoots products up in there,
Hey, we did. We sure did.
We had some grounded up in there,
Yay! That we sure did. So, all right, because this is a place where we're going to talk about purpose, I do want to pick y'all brains a little bit.
Yeah, let's go with it.
After, as we're concluding season 1, there have been some things that have happened within the span of this 4 to 5 months. Mm-hmm. And so I want to know from both of you guys, where are you taking your brands and your business or ministries? What's something that you're like, after me going through this tail end of what we know as our pandemic, but based on how we're rolling and operating, this pandemic was a place for us to essentially birth those products or those dreams, those visions, and bring them really to the people. So either one of you all can start first.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Of course. I actually just had this conversation with myself not too long ago, wanting to know what was next. I'm a Life Path 3, and Life Path 3s are all about communication and creativity. And a huge part of my ability to thrive in this world is to be creative. Yeah. I don't like being boxed in. I don't like doing the same things over and over and over again. And if you don't understand spiritually what that means, you would look at me and say, oh, she has squirrel syndrome, right? Like, oh, shiny objects, But the reality is that I am very clear on what I've been put here to do. Yeah. My purpose is to research, to rescue and to restore African American families. But the assignments are always going to look different.
Right.
And I think that's what people need to understand. Your purpose is the same, but your assignments are going to change.
Ooh.
And so for me, initially it was FixdRoots and getting back to our spiritual practices, specifically my family's spiritual practices. But now I've decided to expand FixdRoots into the realm of weddings and event planning, specifically for us though. Getting away from these westernized ideas of what weddings and marriages are supposed to look like. Even the vows that African Americans or people of color take, they're not our vows.
Right.
And they're written from a westernized point of view. And you'd realize a year in, 2 years in, 5 years in, that what you said at that altar in front of God and a bunch of butt ugly relatives that you don't really fuck with, couldn't be farther from the truth, right? Part of my responsibility as a student of psychology, a student of African spirituality, is to help them to Africanize their marriage, right? I'm not a wedding planner. I'm a marriage planner.
Yeah.
Right? That's a huge fucking difference.
Definitely.
Because many people plan for their wedding. Nobody plans for their marriage.
Come through.
Right?
Yeah.
And so for FixdRoots, obviously fixing the root of everything.
Hey.
Right? But your marriage, restoring families start with your marriage. Right? And this country was built on the foundation of African American families. It wasn't just the man, it wasn't just the woman, it wasn't just the child, it was the entire unit. So I'll release it on Melvina Motivates. FixdRoots is now adding a new sub-business, I guess if you want to call it that, or sub-ministry, to its brand.
Yeah.
And we will focus primarily on officiating these marriages and weddings and family reunions, because Black folks don't have family reunions no more, right? Like, that was a huge deal for me as a kid growing up. I couldn't wait for the family reunion. And we don't have those things, you know. We pay for what we want to pay for. You can't even get families to put $20 together for a fucking t-shirt, let alone an entire weekend of festivities to help you all build and strengthen the bond of your family, you know? And so being able to do that creatively, because I love dinner parties, I love good music, I love good food, and if for nothing else, Black families know that regardless of if somebody lost their job, if somebody died, if, you know, there is some type of issue in the marriage or in the family, you all could get together for food. You all could get together for a good conversation. You all could get together for good drinks, you know, and repair your family through those experiences. So Vintage Rituals is the extension of FixdRoots.
Awesome. Y'all heard that here first. RemeD over here fixing marriages at the roots. And of course, researching and restoring the entire the African and African American family tree. So I appreciate that. All right, Mr. Drive.
That's a hard follow. But so as far as I go, like I said, during most of the pandemic, I was like on house arrest. So it just went from me like a lot of my businesses and things stemmed from me just trying to find a different way to go about things, because that was the reason why I got on house arrest first, is because I didn't really have direction. So after house arrest, I found how to like start my own business, as far as teaching people how to invest their money, cryptocurrencies, foreign exchange, all of that. So I kind of found the love in doing that because I'm already a motivational person. So I think that's my personal purpose, is to just motivate and inspire people, regardless of if it's through teaching them, regardless of if it's through my music, because that's what I'm doing everything for, honestly. It's just to, you know, get my music further out there, market it, you know. What was, can you say the question?
Yeah, just what's next? You know, what's next? Because I'm like, there's a lot that has happened within these last 4 to 5 months. You know, like we've evolved. There's been some change. There's been some growth. So from now and the remaining, at least of 2021, like what are some things that you put in place?
Just to really like educate more people, like on the things that we, because similar to like RemeD said, like there's certain things that if we had the, you know, the resources to have already, then we would, like, as a whole in the world, we would be better off. But you know, especially African Americans, if they knew certain, you know, certain practices that the rich or the, you know, the wealthy have already been following for a long time, then, you know, we would be way better off. You know, we would if we had the resources, then we would have, you know, the money for what it's worth. You know, money is not everything, but it can definitely, you know,
it's necessary.
Yeah, it's definitely necessary. It's definitely necessary, especially in the world that we live in right now. So, you know, just teaching people that it's a better way than to like go, you know, like go to work for a 9 to 5 for real. Like, because that's a scam, and that's a scam. They
pay me my gross.
That's a scam.
Pay me what you owe me.
That's a scam. To me, that's a scam because of the simple fact, like, how they put it inside of your head.
Yes.
Like, regardless if you're, you know, think about this. So when you're in school, they barely teach you what you need to know.
Right.
First of all, they don't teach you like life skills for real. They teach you what they want to teach you, not the things that you need to know. So when you're in elementary school, you know, you're getting taught the things that they want to teach you. When you're in middle school, junior high, they teach you the things that they want to teach you. Then you're supposed to get good grades to go to high school, you know. And then they still teach you the things that they want to teach you.
Yeah.
And then when you go to college, it's all to breed you to be an employee.
Yeah, facts.
So, you know, and that's a cap on your, you know, like, on your investment. Mm-hmm. Because your investment is your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Facts.
So, and the real wealthy know that your time is everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if I can teach multiple people and just continue to teach people how valuable their time is, because there's so many people that be like, I just work for my money. Like, why? Why? Like, I love it. I mean, I love that you hard working, but you know, it's so many more easier ways, or you know, ways that you can really fund your passions. Yeah. Fund, you know, the things that you really were put here to do. But, you know, since we're deeply rooted as employees or somebody to work for someone or something like that, people don't even see that they have purpose. Yeah. 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 People don't see at all that they have purpose at all. Like, you can look at somebody and just be like, they really don't know what else they can be doing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They don't know, like, you know, they not even aligned with what their true purpose is. Come through. So that's, I feel like I get great euphoria in just teaching people that, you know, it's way bigger things. Like, what do you really want to do? Yeah. Because some people don't even have the luxury of, they don't even have the luxury of not working ever. Yeah. So it's like from the day that they, you know, 16, 15 years old, they have to work. Yeah. To live. Yeah. So they don't know anything else. Come on. And I was never like that though. Yeah. You feel me? Like, I had to work, of course, to get the things that I wanted. I was supported also, but I had to work to get the things that I wanted. And what I seen there is that I never meshed with any of that. Like, I never could. I don't know. I never like mixed in. It was never my mix. Like, like I was always a creative. Right. Like, and I see it in so many other people that they have like some of the same, you know, personality traits or characteristics that I have, but they don't even know how to use it at all. Like, they haven't even tapped into themselves. Yeah. So I think that's one of my purposes, is to really get people to tap into themselves. And I think I do that, you know, by buying people back their time. True. And then I also do that through my music, if you listen to it. Yeah. So it's like, those are my two passions, and those are my two purposes. So, yeah. Shout out to that. That's amazing. First of all, do y'all hear all this stuff? They just dropped so many gems. Yes. Okay, I hope y'all caught them all. I'm sure Prince will get us a dope clip just in case you missed it. You know, so yeah, I appreciate hearing that from the both of you guys. You know, because we're in a very dope space. Yeah. To really do some, I guess, some making up for lost time, if you will, you know, and we have the power in changing those trajectories. And so, to piggyback off all of you guys, all right, I guess I'll say this here. I think for the most part, I'm going to channel my energy into teaching in a different way. Mm-hmm. The system in which that I have worked my ass off to be a part of, I realized that that's not the system for me. So why not create my own system? Why not? Okay. So that's something that I will be putting some energy into. Definitely within the very near future. I shared some of that information in my accountability group on last Sunday. Shout out to what did you name us? The FixdRoots Pride, or no? It was something. It was one of your lives that I was like, "We the Pride, okay." On everything.
But I'll take that fixed pride.
Yeah. So so there's for me, I realized what teaching in the remote space works for me. Mm-hmm. That works best for me. Going and getting up and teaching in a classroom does not. It doesn't. So I'm just like, the remote teaching year gave me a new outlet on how I can do what I'm brought here to do, which is teach. Mm-hmm. You know, and my goal, it was interesting that I was put into third grade to teach third graders. Mm-hmm. And thinking about the age that they are, at that age, they have to be validated. They have to know that they're seen. Yeah. You know, they have to know that they matter. And I didn't get that at third grade. I didn't either. At third grade, You don't get that.
No.
Especially not from a teacher who's not tapped in.
Mm-hmm. True.
Now, when you're with a teacher that's tapped in, I will say that all of the babies that I worked with this past school year, I let them know that they matter. Let them know that they were seen. And I also gave them a glimpse into their purposes because I was able to see that. Like, hey, this is your natural gift. This is your talent. This is that. And I really poured into it every day that I taught. Now, what they do with it, hopefully they, they receive it and they look further into it and they get connected with it.
Yeah.
But for me, I know in order for me to do that, as well as teach what needs to be taught, as well as teach according to what the system and the standards are, I got to create my own lane. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely up and coming, and I'm excited about that. So in the future, you guys will be hearing a lot more about Miss Mel Reads and Teaches.
Miss Mel.
Miss Mel.
So I'm excited about that. And then, of course, with the podcast, I don't know if I mentioned this in episode 9 already, but season 2, we're going to be virtual, okay? Y'all going to be able to see me. Y'all going to be able to see the guests. We're going to have, all the equipment for all that to take place and be audio as well. So you guys will get the best of both worlds and dropping some knowledge and some nuggets and some gems, all while trying to activate and inspire you guys to really take that deeper dive into your healing. What you guys heard from Remedy and from Prince is they've done their work, they're doing their work, and now they've been able to connect and tap into purpose where they're able to not just help themselves or just their families, but they're able to spread this knowledge and help literally our community. Mm-hmm. So, shout out to all of y'all. Shout out to that. So I definitely appreciate that. We're going to take a very quick break. We're going to hear from one of the gentlemen in the room, so he's going to share with us some information on how you can get back your time.
I know you're tired of working at 9 to 5. How much did you just get paid? $8 an hour? 15? 30? An hour? I just got paid that in a minute. Straight off of my phone. Come get with me, you can do it too. Let me show you how I did it.
Money in a minute, I was trading off the phone, making money in a minute. Money in a minute, money in a minute. Crypto, making money in a minute. MetaTrader 4, making money in a minute. Why? Cause it's money in a minute. Money conversation and you know I love to hear it. Ay. I just made the bag in a minute. Then I made that shit last for a minute. Bought my time back for a minute. Ain't wasting no time, not a minute.
Hey, don't you find it funny how the whole world needs money, but only 1% invested? It's crazy, right? We invest more time into our significant other Netflix and chilling. But this next sponsor, this soap, is for the side niggas.
Yeah, I got that side nigga soap. You know it's me, it's how I roll. Side nigga soap is out of sight and out of mind. Just watch me flow. Side nigga soap is for them dudes, them basic dudes who must wash and go. Niggas can't stay inside with me. Dude, wash the balls, you gotta go. Side nigga soap is for them frills, them nasty frills, them freaky frills. Once we get ours in, you got to leave, my friend. I'm sorry, super sorry, can't even waste my time. Until next time I do, you know that ass is mine. You know that ass is mine. You know that ass is mine. You know that ass is mine.
Period. And now we're back from our sponsors. So if you guys are really interested in getting your time back, trying to figure out a way of how you can fund your dream, your purpose, you want to definitely tap in with him. He can be found where?
I can be found on Instagram at _itsdrive, ITSDRIVE. On Facebook at Prince Lamptey. If you don't know how to spell that, I'm not going to spell it for you. You're just going to have to go ahead and figure it out, Yeah. No, that's pretty much where I could be found at.
Oh, awesome. point blank. You have to use your phonetics. Your
Sound it out. Sound it out.
Enunciate. In order for you to be able to find them, okay? So that's super exciting. Okay. Real quick, I just want to know from the both of you guys, from season 1, what was your favorite episode? Like, what was the one that you enjoyed listening to most? And why?
I like the one when you got into a fight.
Mama said knock you out. I'm gonna knock you out. Mama said knock you out.
Because it's kind of like, I don't know, like, it kind of turned you into like, you know, like, okay, let me stick my chest out. Let me go ahead and fight back let me protect myself. But you didn't, like the essence of who you are, you're not really like a confrontational person. Right. So for it to, you know, for me to see a different side of Melvina, you know, just by hearing it, it's like, oh man, you know, Rocky Balboa, you know. So that was my favorite one, just because it was more comical than anything. It was like, all right, cool. Yeah.
Yes, you know that's my favorite. And I heard the story before you all actually heard it. But I think what I enjoyed most about it is seeing myself in that story. Because I think every young girl may have that type of story. I'm the youngest of 4, but I have an older brother. So my brother is very scrappy. He's been fighting since he literally slid down the umbilical cord. So like fighting for him was like second nature, right? But for me, I'm like, oh, you have your fist balled up. That means that she wants to fight, right? Like I don't know what that means because I was born in New York and not Brooklyn, not Harlem, not Yonkers, like none of that. Rochester, okay? Like the whitest part of Rochester. And the most that you did if you had a confrontation in the 3rd or 4th grade was, you know, call somebody a poo-poo head. Like, nobody was fighting, right? So we moved to Chicago. And I went to CPS. I went to Harold Washington on University. And when I tell you that was a different type of experience, because the first day I walked, like that was your initiation. Like you had to get your ass whooped when you were the new kid. And I was like, she said, I'm looking at her. I didn't look at her. I was looking at the board. Like, ma'am, you sitting right at the board. Like, I don't understand that. And I ran home many of days until I couldn't, right? And so hearing your mom say, like, oh, I didn't see you whoop her ass, so you're going to do it again, right? I think every Black child, be it a boy or a girl, had that experience where, you know, either you whoop their ass or you gonna get your ass whooped when you get home, right? And it was a very clear understanding that you ain't no punk, right? And I'm like, but all I want to do is play with my dolls and like play it. I wasn't really trying to fight nobody, right? But I think the beautiful thing about all of the episodes is that you can see remnants of your childhood or remnants of your experiences in those episodes, right? Sure. So I'm grateful that you are willing to share the most vulnerable parts of your journey, of your story, because there are people that aren't so willing to have those conversations. And you're not the only one going through these things, right? Like, now that we're in our 30s, we can laugh about it, but that shit wasn't funny in 3rd and 4th grade. Not at all. Right? And then having children, understanding that those same people who we were fighting are now breeding. Right? And we have now bred. And the cycle continues. So you're like, you know, do you let your child fight and, you know, kind of redeem your 3rd grade self through your child? Or do you like give them this easy breezy, spiritual, enlightened you know, like you're really walking a fine line when you are raising your child in a world with people who are not as enlightened or as willing to do the work as you are. So that hands down, it's by far my favorite episode.
So
Especially with your brother helping you fight. Oh my God.
That dude. He's tall as hell. And it was like, even after my brother got grown, he was still growing. I'm like, so puberty is still happening for you? Like, how did you go from 6'4" to now 6'6", 6'7"? How?
Right. Yeah.
And them damn hands coming across, like,
in the air.
I'm just like, why are we doing this? Please let it stop. My mom's like, no. Like, okay. As we continue.
I think y'all missed y'all calling. Your mother should have been like a boxing coach.
It ain't too late. It ain't too late for it. It's funny.
A whole gym.
It's funny because she grew up in St. Louis, and so one of her relatives or cousins, he actually has a boxing gym there. The irony. So I guess there's a mini franchise. It went from St. Louis to Chicago.
So boxing runs through y'all blood. She just had to wake that up in you.
Right.
That's all that was.
You know, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. And it's like, ouch, you are. Okay, I guess I am. Thanks.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
Yeah. Rainbows and unicorns was the world I was living in, and then shit fell apart. It's like, okay, all right, it's dark here. It's really dark. What were you gonna say, Prince?
I was saying, like, you guys already have children. I have one on the way. So,
congratulations.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I'm a real spiritual guy, so I'm gonna definitely attack that side. But you going to MMA classes. You going to both of those or boxing or something. You doing something?
Yeah.
You know? Like, cause ain't nobody just finna pick on you. And you better not overuse what they teach you up in MMA either. Yeah. I'm gonna beat your ass.
Yeah,
right, getting them phone calls. Like, hey,
like,
Mr. Lamptey, little Lamptey here is scrapping again. Man, yeah. So with that, one of the things, even from that episode, so my brother, he is a martial artist. So he practices what's called capoeira. Okay. So capoeira is, if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's a Afro-Brazilian type martial arts. Okay. So, and the history behind it is so rich, right? So as, you know, we were kidnapped, and we have to figure out secret ways of how to practice to defend ourselves whenever a next attack will come. So what capoeira does, they incorporate music. So to the naked eye, it'll look like you're just dancing and having a little party, but you're learning martial arts moves, and you literally have to use your entire body in order to fight, right? So one of my professors from graduate school, he was the first to introduce me to it, but now to know that I have a brother that that really practices it. And when we went to Miami to visit, he took us to one of his trainings, and it was so beautiful. Like, Matt still sings, you know, one of the training songs and everything. And over on 95th, there is a capoeira gym or training environment, because I'm like, again, fighting is not my go-to. I'll do it if I have to. Yeah. But to teach it,
that's a different story.
So I'm a go and put Matt in martial arts.
Yes. For sure. Yeah, that's dope.
And one of the things that my brother did share was that the point of martial arts is to really ground you and teach you that you don't even have to defend yourself. Like, that's like the root of it. So, you know, I was like, he need all that. All that, especially going to public school. So, you know, shout out to that. And shout out to your announcement. I didn't know if you were going to make the announcement on here. You did. So that's exciting. So we got to get, you know, Baby Lamptey and Melvina Motivates shirt. Yes. Onesie. A onesie, yes. And so that'll be super dope.
If it's a boy, it'll be the third. Prince Lamptey the third.
That's dope.
And then if it's a girl, her name would be Zuri.
Nice.
Curie.
Hey, put it out there.
It means beautiful.
That's awesome. Yes. That's so awesome. Okay, Well, let's get into some questions that the people had wrote into us. Now, I was looking for a little some lighter questions, but people went straight for the deep shit. I was like, well, damn, y'all, it's the last one. But okay. So, one of the questions that stands out, and we'll start light and then go deep. Because I saw Carly's question. I was like, can you write something a little lighter? Can we take two? Question, take two.
Oh, God.
So, what are your favorite relaxing hobbies? What do you guys like to do to woosah?
Child. Well, it's really hard for me to relax. So that's something that I am actively working on. But I think one thing that I can always rely on is time at my altar, right? My altar space is very sacred to me. I just recently was given the picture of my great-grandmother, and I look just like her. Like, she just reincarnated herself. And I sit there and I have very real conversations with her. You know, growing up, I always struggled with praying. And I always thought it was like a way that you have to pray. And I was like trying to be very formal. And, you know, I would lay down praying and go to sleep. And then I wake up the next morning like, oh, God, forgive me. I'm so sorry.
Right.
You know, and as I started my spiritual journey, talking to my great-grandmother and, you know, the rest of my benevolent ancestors, it was very clear to me that prayer is nothing more than a conversation, and meditation is where you receive those answers. And so, as funny as it sounds, relaxing for me is cleaning. Like, as long as I'm moving my body, I am relaxed. Like, FixdRoots takes a lot out of me, but if I am washing my dishes or cleaning the laundry or, you know, helping straighten up her room, I actually get those messages during those times. But to slow down for a moment is always at my altar. Always.
Shout out to that. Shout out to that. All right. Mr. Lamptey?
I would say, I didn't put my government name out here and stuff.
Oh, dang.
You know,
I
didn't put my government name out here,
you
but
can always edit it out.
It's all good. They can know. You know, I ain't on the run. All right, so I would say first off, meditation is a big one.
Namyo renge kyo, namyo renge kyo, namyo renge kyo, namyo renge kyo.
Meditation, like, if I don't meditate, then my day is thrown off. All type of, you know, so meditation would be probably the best one. And then I would also say, of course, making music, like just, you know, like actually hearing something or creating a beat and then actually recording it, or, you know, just going through the phases of, okay, I don't like that, let me go ahead and scrap that, let me go ahead and, okay, you know, just working it out inside of my mind is creativity, for real. Anything, really, not only music, anything creative. Like graphic design, things of that nature. I like doing that. You know, anything that I feel like I'm being fully authentic at. I think that's the biggest thing. And then playing basketball. I love the hoop.
Shout out to that. For me, definitely I can connect with cleaning. Like when I'll find, first of all, sometimes this week behind those doors is a complete mess that will be organized. Like Susie Homemaker came in and did it herself. So anything cleaning wise, yes, definitely relaxes me. But I've gotten back in tune with taking time to just sit down and listen to music. You know, just really being present to what I'm hearing, and jazz music is something I absolutely love.
For sure.
So shout out to, you know, Spotify, right? So there's a playlist called Calm Jazz, I think, and then it's Calm Piano Classic Jazz. And when I tell you all, I be in my zone listening just to how all of those instruments and each note, you know, it just that alone just definitely relaxes me. So, and not having not that it's an interruption, but being able to listen to the musicians and the musicianship just with the jazz as opposed
Yeah.
to listening to music that has lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I've gotten back into doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I spend, my relaxation. So
Yeah.
That's lit.
Yeah. Next question comes from your mom. She says, "What is your biggest trial turned triumph in 2021?"
Oh man. Biggest trial turn triumph. Losing my job. At the height of the pandemic, I lost my job, and it was traumatic for me because this was like right after I dropped out of grad school, and I had prayed for this job. I was, gifted this job, so to speak, and then it was taken away months later. And I internalized it as if I did something wrong, independent of the pandemic, because I'm not a big news watcher. So I didn't realize just how intense the pandemic was. So in March of 2020, right? Yeah, 2020, there were talks of us not being able to go back into the building because I was a case manager for a nonprofit organization, and we were stationed inside of one of the colleges here in Chicago. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is just going to be really short-lived. We'll be able to work remotely from home. And then my boss was like, no, I am ending this indefinitely. And because I lived in one state and worked in another state, when it came to unemployment, nobody knew who was supposed to pay me.
Oh, yeah.
So months went by before payment was even, made, but my bills didn't stop, right? Because there was no, COVID things put in place at that time. It was just like, everybody thought this was a joke, or it wasn't as serious as it ended up being. And around that time, I can remember, very sleepless nights where it was like, are you ready to start this business now? Right? And that is a testament, or at least what I talk about often now, is if spirit has to intervene in order for you to get back on track to your purpose, they will. And I think many of us collectively, we were given the opportunity when all of this occurred to get put back on a path of purpose, right? Because many of us are stripped in our childhood, and we're conditioned, like, Prince was saying earlier, and this is not just some man-made government, whatever the hell. Spiritually speaking, those who were last are now becoming first.
Come on.
And so you have to put these people back on track, because each one of us has a group of people who are attached to our purpose.
Yeah.
And so working at 9 to 5 is not going to allow you to do it.
At all.
Being in school, stressing yourself out, your hair falling out, your weight fluctuating is not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so if we have a timeline in order for, these people to get these purposes fulfilled or these assignments completed, if we have to shake the entire world up, we will.
Period.
Because time is relative. Spirit doesn't move according to, westernized time.
Right.
And so for me, I had to combat a lot of doubt and fear from previous business ventures that failed. And going through moving from religion to spirituality. Now I have to listen to a voice that I've never heard before. And I have to go through this process of, is this my voice or is this a higher voice? The decision that I'm making, is it out of fear or is it out of purpose? Right? And so losing my job meant that I got to be protected while I embarked on my spiritual journey towards purpose.
Come on.
So that was like, okay, the human part of me is saying, I'm getting ready to lose my car that I just bought, my apartment, my daughter, everything is based on this job now. I'm going to lose everything. And Spirit is saying, if you just simply do what we tell you to do, you're going to be fine. So even in the midst of not having the money from unemployment, like random checks from my boss was coming in via FedEx. And I would ask my 2 coworkers, like, did y'all get a package from FedEx? And they like, what package?
And you like, oh, let me
close
close
my eyes. Let me close my mouth because, you know, and even during that time too, I'll say that my discernment was strengthened.
Yeah.
You know, my ability to see things outside of what the physical realm had to offer was very important, you know, to my spiritual development as well as my physical, because let's be honest, if you don't have money, everything else falls away.
Come on.
You know, that stress will eat you inside out.
Yeah.
Because now you start looking at what you can cut back on. You know, you start looking at, you know, how I can get rid of this so I can save that. You know, and coming from a place of not having it all, you know, even growing up, you get catapulted back into like your 3 or 4 year old self, 5 or 6 year old self. You realize like this is some shit that my parents went through, you know. And for me, I worked my ass off not to struggle, not to be worried about money, and I damn sure didn't want my daughter to have the same experience that I had, you know, growing up. So if this experience between 2020 and now, because it's still happening, it's still unfolding, has taught me anything, is, you know, relying very heavily on a higher power, which I could not make sense out of when religion was, you know, in the mix.
Yeah.
So the things that I had always heard in church, you know, God didn't give you a spirit of fear, makes sense now. Right. Knocking, the door will be open unto you. You know, things like that. I couldn't make sense of it. You know, sitting on someone's pew.
Come on.
But when I'm sitting in, you know, my sanctuary, which is my altar in my body, without someone hooping and hollering and screaming, trying to preach the church happy, then I can make sense of it.
Come on.
So,
I felt that.
Bars.
I felt that.
Bars. I'm trying to think now. Will you be able to possibly do a collection of gems for the clip? I'm just saying.
We have to do a couple clips.
Okay, that's all good. Definitely. So for you, what has been that trial turn triumph?
I would say just coming to agreement with myself that some people have to get let go.
Yes.
Like for sure, like it's hard too, like cause especially when, you know, like I'm still my old self. I've grown exponentially, like, you know, but you know, I still love my friends. I still, you know, the people that I grew up with, the things that we seen together, the things that we went through together. And then I had a relationship prior to, you know, 2021 that went very sour. And, you know, I kind of, I seen peace in the person as opposed to, you know, just finding peace within myself. So when that situation turned sour, it was kind of like, it was hard for me to like let go of it. So it was like, all right, cool. But along with that, you know, just letting go of friends, not even letting go of friends, but just, you know, everybody has their purpose in your life. Not only just their purpose, period, in this world, but their purpose in your life. Like, you're not going to go to somebody that's not a mathematician and be like, what is Y MX plus B? You know, like, so it's certain friends that, you know, when you want to go out and go do whatever you want to do, you call them. And then there's certain friends that, you know, when you want to make some money, you call them. And then there's certain, you know, so I had to, you know, come into contact with that and just make sure that I knew that, you know, everybody not on the, like, everybody arrives to their levels differently. Like, you know, like I might have arrived way before my time. But it's my time, though, you know, and it's just not their time. So, and then another thing is, like, sometimes they look at you different when you, like, growing to that level because they don't understand how to grow to that level. So that was my biggest triumph because, like, I know for a fact that I just can't, I can't stay in the same position. I don't even do the same things that I used to do. I don't eat the same way. I don't have the same practices. I don't think the same way. So for you to continue to think that same way, like in 10 years or 5 years, you know?
Yeah.
Like, 10 or 5 years, you're not really the progression level not going to be that high.
First of all, if we could salt me, damn,
Yes,
sprinkle that.
Yeah.
That's definitely dope. That's definitely
My
dope.
biggest thing is progression, though.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, you know, like, and people see, like, life and death as two different things. They the same thing in my you know, like, that, like, everybody see a dark level of, you know, like, death is just, you know, but I know one day, you know, this physical body is going to diminish.
Right.
So I might as well, you know, put my best foot forward every day to, you know, as opposed to living like how Dominique said, surface level.
Yeah.
Surface level is not going to get you anywhere because anything can seem like something.
Yeah.
You know, like you can literally, just like how she said, you know, with her job and stuff like that, it seemed like she was going to lose this. It seemed like she was going to lose everything, but she didn't because she tapped right in. You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to tap right in, and the people that, you know, your vibe is your tribe.
Yeah.
You know? So really, however you vibe, and, you know, people that's from your past not going to be able to vibe that way all the time.
Yeah.
Unless they willing to grow.
Facts. Well, damn, the podcast is over with, everybody. Like, no, but you know what? One of the things that stuck out with what you were saying, though, Prince, was about death. Like, we make death this thing that happens at, you know, an afterlife thing. But one of the things that I've realized is that you literally go through seasons of deaths.
Yeah.
While you're here.
Absolutely.
And, you know, like at some point, people didn't, you know, growing up, parents, nobody kind of put that in that framework or that statement. Because I'm just like, the Melvina today, you know, is not the same Melvina last year, not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago. And there were these things, there were parts of me that had to die in order for the person that everybody get a chance to experience now to show up. You know, so I definitely wanted to tap that on to what you were saying about that. I think for me, it was challenging teaching remotely, but the triumph part was right before school ended, I started Melvina Motivates, the podcast, you know? And so from there, it allowed me to have an outlet to finally begin to share layers in my story that I was at some point ashamed of. And I felt guilty about talking about, you know? But with me doing the sharing, it led to me taking a different look at relationships, you know, whether it was parental, whether it was my personal, you know, family's relationships, and even, you know, now gaining essentially a new tribe, right? A new tribe, a new vibe. You know, my vibrations are up, so my tribe is different at this point. So I would definitely say that going, you know, the hecticness of working remote, it was like the moment I touched the floor, I would be locked in my office, a certain room in my house all day, and essentially I had a latchkey 3-4-year-old, you know, at the same time, and I didn't like that. You know, I didn't like that I couldn't be present to my son, and though we were in the same house, because of the demands of remote teaching. So I was like, 2 middle fingers up to that. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that to myself or him. And I get it. There's going to be moments as I'm beginning to build and go further within purpose that, you know, Matt may have some moments where I will not be present. However, it won't be based on the demands of what someone else is saying that, hey, between 8:45 and 3:45, if not later, due to meetings, we have you. Right. You know, and so fuck everything else that you got going on. You know, like, we have you because we pay you for these hours. So I'm like, I ain't dealing with that. Okay. Next question. Okay, this is from Prince himself. He says, what would you look like on an optimal level, mentally, spiritually, physically, etc.? Do you feel like you will become that person in the next year or two? He didn't give us a light question here, guys. He wanted to pick everybody's brain. And so, all right, you've been gracing us to start us off first, Miss RemeD.
Goodness. Free.
Yeah.
Being free in every sense of the word, I think. I am still working through fear of uncertainty, fear of, returning back to a life that I worked so hard to get away from.
Yeah.
I think saying that I'll be that person in a year or two is not realistic because healing does not work that way. Right? And so to be your optimal self, you have to be willing to get to the depths of yourself that you've neglected.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it starts in your 20s or your 30s, And so I'm 33, which means that I still have at least 5 to 29-year-old remedy that I have to help heal.
Yeah.
And fear is very common. It's a very human emotion. But if I am saying that I'm a spiritual being and I am protected by my ancestors and a higher power, I can't continue to move in fear. So being constantly aware of when I get ready to make a change that God has not outlined all of the details for, do I continue as RemeD, the person who is very clear that even if I'm afraid, I'm going to move afraid?
Yeah.
Or do I go back to the versions of myself that is very easily talked out of what was said to her, what was shown to her?
Yeah.
And so freedom is not being bound by those versions of myself.
Come on.
And I have to constantly remind myself of the things I may do to myself to keep myself bound, and the people that may be around me that will contribute to me being bound.
Yeah.
So it's not realistic to put that kind of pressure on myself.
Yeah.
I think I will ultimately be that person, but when I am, I'll be an ancestor. Right? Because so much of this, everything that I do, I have to be able to help the person that will remind me of that version of myself, right? So like all of the people that I work with now has had some issue with their family, some issue with their relationship, some issue with purpose. And so as I peel back those layers, it's progressive, and then I start attracting the people who are entering something I just exited out of. So the work is never done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I'm definitely that person now than maybe when I was in high school.
Facts.
Or in my early 20s.
Okay.
That right there.
And the podcast is now over. Thank you guys for joining us.
So I would say that was a question that I probably was asking myself when I put it on. I would say not reacting off of past trauma. That's the biggest thing. Not reacting off past trauma. Usually our trauma and, like you said, fear, drives us no matter what we doing. Even the trauma response is, I'm in the crib. I want to drink. I'm finna get drunk. Anything that that ain't drunk. That's tipsy right there. That's tipsy. Y'all cool. I'm talking about drunk. I want to do something that I used to do just because I feel a way or something made me feel a way. And it's more of I feel like my optimal self would be will really understand that I feel sad, or I feel depressed, or I feel this way, and then just go the opposite way at that time. Yeah. So, another thing is, like she said, freedom, not really having anything to have control over me. Yeah. Whether it's emotions or past traumas or fears or just anything, social media, anything, just be totally not connected to, to the outcome of things. Yeah. Because we have high expectations a lot of times. So I've been lately just trying to make sure that I don't have expectations, because I can't be let down. Or I can't be let out. Or I can't be excited. It's just like, I'm real neutral about it. So if it happens like this, or it happens like this, then I'm cool with either side of it. You know? I think that's an optimal version of myself. What else? And just being like a billionaire. Just being a billionaire, you know. That's what I think about, you know, frequently. Like, because, you know, I feel like even like in today's society and where we live, like billionaires are pushing the wrong agendas. So we don't know what it is like to see a billionaire push a great agenda. You know, or a millionaire. Like a lot of people are engulfed in a lot of terrible things with their money, you know. Like I read something that just said like if you know like maybe like 300 billion can like stop homelessness or like it can help out homelessness, and it's like Jeff Bezos, that would be like a fraction, not even a fraction of what he has, or you know like a Tesla or something like that, but they would never do that. So we don't know how it feels for someone to actually put that into play. Or what type of static comes behind that, but I want all the smoke.
All of it.
I want all the smoke. Because I feel like that's why I got Melioras tatted right here, which means that we can only evolve if humans evolve. The world can only evolve if humans evolve. So I feel like, you know, with the people who are basically in power, you know, who make things shake right now, they're not, you know, they're not for the betterment of anybody but themselves. So if we find somebody who's like that, I feel like the world would be a better place. So,
Facts.
you know, that's an optimal being of myself.
One more sprinkle of that salt there. Awesome. Yeah, and I think for me, the first thing that came to mind as you guys were talking was just me being in full restoration. Like little Melvina and big Melvina being in harmony. You know, little Melvina's innocence was just robbed. You know what I'm saying? My idea and ability to play was taken. So I'm in a space now where I'm learning to play again, allowing her to come out and play, enjoy in the safety of her play, as well as connecting with Matt in playtime. You know, he'll be like, "Mommy, come play," and I'm not gonna lie. A part of it is I'm like, think I'm fat. So me trying to get down and around and trying to get up, I'm like, my body, it hurts. These knees are 33 times 3. Like, oh my God. But I'm understanding that I have to get out of the physical self, you know, and really tap back into child self so that I can meet Matt where he is, but also provide, you know, safety and healing and restoration for little Melvina. So that would be my optimal self, being able to freely play, right? And let little Melvina come out and just enjoy herself and be unapologetic about that. So that would be optimal.
I think that's great too, cause for that to even come out, like, you know, like I don't know. Some people have regrets when they pass, or you know, pass from the physical world. So you won't want any regrets at all. Like that's the biggest thing. Like if that come out, like you're gonna be on top of the world, like playing with Matt. Like all right, cool, you know.
And for me, honestly, it's a push, right? Like me getting to a healthier weight, you know, because when my vitals and everything, I'm fine. But for a healthier weight, where if I'm running with him, I'm not winded. You know what I'm saying? Or these physical activities aren't too strenuous for me. Because I was an athlete. You know, I ran track and I did all types of sports. But at some point, this weight served as a form of protection that I no longer need. You know, so it's like I've done the inner work. I'm doing the inner work. I need a temple for little Melvina to come out and be great, you know, so that, you know, Matt and her can meet and really, really kick it. So, We got a couple more questions here, and thanks for hanging with us. And one of the things, and this can be twofold. Well, this could apply for all of us, but the person writes here, Brandon, shout out to him. He says, what was your biggest hurdle investing in the continuity of your podcast? And I will say, sometimes there were moments I did not want to get that microphone. There were just some moments I didn't want to. Mm-hmm. And so getting over myself to get the message out, you know, that was probably like the biggest hurdle, like not being in my feelings or whatever, just doubting what came out of my mouth as it laid on everyone's ears, you know, and just knowing that it was going to be okay regardless. And that takes me to episode 9. Like when I recorded episode 9, I'm like, I didn't like it. I was like, Prince, I'm gonna have to re-record this, G. Like, this ain't hitting like how I needed to hit. And he was like, why would you do that? And I was just like, I don't like it. He was like, let's leave it alone. And I was like, okay. And that's the episode that I listen to the most. That's the one where I feel like, thinking back to episode 1, how I'm all trying to be, I don't know, like whispers in the dark. And then like you hear in episode 9 that I'm just fully myself and I'm just having an organic conversation. Mm-hmm. It was like that was definitely my favorite, but just absolutely getting out of my way to be the messenger. Yeah. So yeah. So for you guys, like, any large hurdles that you guys had to face when it came down to the continuity of your brands, of your purpose, of your businesses, ministries?
Mm-hmm. Definitely for me, Christian guilt. You know, moving from what I was told as opposed to what I am. Yeah. Right. And then because in large part, hoodoo and any African traditional religion is a oral tradition. Mm-hmm. I don't have anyone to pass, you know, to tell me, you know, you use this herb for this, or you use this prayer for this, or you know, cleanse yourself this many times for this or whatever. So being led spiritually to every single thing that I've done, and not doubting it, you know, not feeling crazy, dealing with a lot of the side eye from my own community because so many people are miseducated. You know, you believe that anything that resembles you is wrong. It's demonic. You know, and in the beginning, you know, I wanted to defend it because I'm like, my great grandmama chose me and you're not going to tell me I'm wrong, you know, and now getting to a point where I've settled into, you know, this identity and coming back home to yourself is never easy when everyone else is rejecting going back home to themselves. And so, you know, in root work, in hoodoo, in any African traditional religion, you knew who to go see when you were ready. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Those who are ready, they will find me. You know, I don't advertise, I attract. And understanding that I don't have to force those who look like me to see, you know, what I see or to practice the way that I practice or to utilize these practices in their lives, was a struggle because ultimately I like to help people. Right? And I'm a healer if I'm nothing else. But I also know that you're free to do and be whatever you want to, you know, do or be. But absolutely getting out of my own way. You know, that fear of, are you doing it right? Did you say the prayer right? Did you use the right herb, you know, in conjunction with another herb? Because you understand spiritually and physically, there are some herbs that don't mix. Okay. You mess around and get you a good old rash out the mix. You know? So definitely leaning into the unknown because so many of us are taught to have teachers.
Come on.
Right? Seriously. Not many of us are willing to tap into our higher priests or priestesses because that's what, you know, in Africa or, you know, diaspora, diaspora, they understood that there were people who already had this information. You know, everybody is not meant to be taught. So for anyone who's listening to this, I think that it's important for you to understand, especially if you're talking about education, westernized education. At some point, if you feel like it's not working for you, it's for a reason. Right? Because they don't have anything. Right? In Africa or any parts, we don't have degrees. We don't have certifications, right? The medicine doctor was your MD overhead, right? Their herbs, their plants, they didn't have to go to school. They spoke to those plants. They had a relationship. I believe one of our inventors, the peanut,
George Washington, Carver.
He spoke about how he could speak to a plant, and white people thought he was crazy, you know. But we understand that we don't need your pieces of paper to validate us, and so there's a lot of us who are opting out of traditional education because it doesn't feel right. Right? But when you've been trained to believe that you need their validation, you know, you will reject who you've always been meant to be. And that is a constant struggle within itself when you're talking about purpose, because not everybody gets the call. And then when you get the call, not everybody answers the call. And when you answer the call, you have to understand that your immediate surroundings don't understand that you got a phone call to begin with. So you have to constantly fight to answer the call and keep the spirit on the phone while distancing yourself. Like, you know, Prince was saying, you understand that there are people that play a part in your life for a reason. But when you get that phone call and you decide to answer that phone call, those people cannot go with you because they have the potential to rob you of what it is that you're on that phone call for to begin with.
You can't even hear.
You
can't hear what's going on the phone. Hey, shut up. Shut up. I'm on the phone.
Absolutely.
Seriously. Absolutely. I appreciate you highlighting that, you know, because it really speaks value to literally, like, if we had to put the call into words, that's what that experience is. It's like you're answering the call and thinking about just with my family, there's so many people who were called, they said no. They said no. You know, and because, you know, I don't know if it was really optional for me to say no.
No, I think this generation, we don't have the option. And when I say generation, I don't mean age. I mean those who get the call. You can be 60, you can be 50, you can be 18, or you can be 33. You know, this spiritual generation did not have a choice. You know, many of us were called to break generational curses, you know, and then others of us were called to get back to our original versions of ourselves. That's hard.
It is.
Because there's no textbook for it.
Right.
You know, when you don't know something, the first thing you do is what?
Google it, right? Or YouTube University.
Or you YouTube it. But when we're talking about black folks, because I don't know no other race, right? The information on Google is not all of the information.
Right.
And then that information, a large part of it is watered down in their interpretation, right? And then you have communities that are gatekeeping our culture and our spiritual practices for good reason, because everybody knows the power of us but us, right? So this generation did not have a choice. You know, if you notice, this generation is having less and less kids. So if we don't do the work, then technically, you know, if our children don't, which they probably won't because we haven't, our whole existence is pretty much, you know, gone. And Dr. Francis Cress Wesseling talks about, you know, the biggest fear of black people being extinct, right? And it's so many things that you could go into with that I'll spare your listeners for. But the reality is that, you know, the hardest part is when you do get the phone call, do you answer it, right? Because it's like old school caller ID. Right? Like, you know, it's something calling you, but you don't know if you want to answer it, and you answer it. And you're tempted to see what they're talking about, but you're also confronted with reality. So the phone call is saying, trust me, right? Faith, like not seeing what's in front of you, as opposed to you getting back into what you've always known, which is, well, this is my reality and it's always going to be this way. And Spirit is telling this generation, I just need you to grab hold on to my voice. Like, that school is not working for you. This relationship is not working for you. This home is not working for you. That this, job is not working for you. And it's that conviction. It's like, I need to change, but I don't know how I'm going to do that. That's hard because there's no manual for this shit.
No, not at all.
You know what I'm saying? And even the Bible gives part of the truth, right? It ain't the whole thing because there's some pieces that's missing. It's enough to get you through if you know where to turn to.
Right.
In that book, however, reality says, this is bullshit. I need to stay right where I'm at, and I'm going to die like this, whatever. But if you have that yearning to change, it's a constant fight.
Yeah.
It's a constant fight. Your partner is telling you crazy as hell. Your mom and them telling you crazy as hell.
Right.
Your teacher telling you crazy as hell. Like, everybody is going against what this voice is telling you.
Yeah.
Right. And the funny thing is that people think that the voice I'm talking about sounds like Mufasa from The Lion King, because that's what my mom used to tell me, right? But that voice comes in the sound of your voice. And ultimately you hear it and then you get confirmation from another voice. And it can be a complete stranger, it can be a TV show, it can be a book you read, it can be anything. We overcomplicate this thing. But the reality is that you do get the call when you answer it. What you need to understand is that if you answer it and you hang up, Spirit don't quite work that way.
Yeah.
See, like the phone call is the warning shot.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you go to, the middle of like the South and you knock on somebody's door and you hit ch-ch. That's a warning shot. Like, that is a national understanding that I better get the fuck off this porch. Right? If they call you and you answer and then you hang up in their face, that's like, next thing you know, your relationship falls apart, your money dries up, your job is lost, your health is in jeopardy. They will do anything to get your attention, and they don't care. And you have to be okay with recognizing those signs and saying, all right, this shit scares me, but what you might do if I don't follow through scares me even more. Right?
Seriously.
So,
Seriously. Oh, man. And I think, how many times have we ended this? I think this is time number 4.
That was, man, you were speaking to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I truly connect with that. Like, I think about family members, right, where their health has been attacked because they did not answer, right? Thinking about how, like, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars being... We're talking exacerbated, blown away. It's like, where did it go? Right? Thinking about relationships that just, like, I thought we was cool, and then next thing you know, they're gone. Right? So definitely with that. So, did you want to add anything else to that, or?
She said everything for me.
That sorry, y'all.
No, that's real though. That's real. Hey. It's really a factor of just making sure you're not complacent. That's basically what she was saying also. Like, you can easily get complacent and be like, I ain't answering that phone. I know who on that phone. You feel me? Like, I'm cool with doing whatever I'm doing right now. Like I'm fucking up right now. I'm fucking up. They trying to tell me the right thing. They trying to tell me the right thing, and I think that's the biggest thing too. And just on my journey with, like, especially music and stuff like that, is just just not really giving a fuck. Like, honestly, because, like, somebody gonna like it, somebody gonna love it, somebody gonna hate it, somebody gonna hate you. Somebody gonna love you. So it's like the vulnerability of just still putting it out there, just like you with Melvina Motivates. The vulnerability of still just putting it out there no matter what, even being a perfectionist, because I'm super a perfectionist. Like, I'll be like, that word ain't, that word right there, let me re-record that. You feel me? But that's self-sabotage at the end of the day. So kind of really have to make sure that you're not complacent and you're not self-sabotaging yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I had to learn.
Yeah. Dopeness. We got 2 more questions, and I think these are really good ones that we can essentially like help to bring episode 10 to a close, season 1 to a close, you know. And the question, one of the last 2 questions is, how do you self-care? How do you self-care? What is that? Self-care where?
Right. How do you self-care?
Help us out.
Help us.
So self-care for me is making sure that my space is cleaned, of course. Making sure my space is cleaned. Smells is big for me, you know. So Palo Santos is my shit. I ain't gonna lie, I'm burning that out back. You know, creativity, you know, anything. I need it, you know.
Sweet vibes,
you know,
good energy,
great energy, you know. So that right there, you know, burning my Palo Santos, showers, of course. Just making sure my body is cleansed. Self-care also is working out, like whether I'm going to play basketball or whether I'm going to the gym. And just speaking good to myself too. Like honestly, we be so mean to ourselves in the inside. Like I be saying some fucked up shit to myself sometimes. You feel me? Be like, bro, why is you even thinking like this? Or why is you like, what's wrong with you? But then again, you gotta understand that, you know, there is an external world too. So that's half of the time where you get everything from the energy that you receive and then the information that you receive every single day. Like regardless of if you know it or not, it's stored inside of you. Like, so that's why, you know, another thing with self-care is just making sure I know what I'm listening to every day. I know what I'm hearing. I know what I'm looking at. You know, I know what I'm eating. I know everything. Like, I know I use my senses to the best of my ability. That's self-care for me, too. So, you know, if it ain't the best of the best, I don't really want it. For sure.
Shout out to that. For me, I'm trying to get a rhythm with my self-care. And right now, I'm putting a little more focus right now on a nightly routine. We'll transition to the morning routine sooner than later. But at night, I use that time to shower, to cleanse myself, facial, you know, give myself a facial. Why not, right? Shout out to Amia and Pour with Love and her products. And I take that time, like you had put us on to the pink salt in whether it's like your little foot bath or a large enough bowl where your feet can be in. And I just sit at my desk in my room and I just like relax from the day. I kind of think about the day and think about like what I'm grateful for of all that happened, you know, and I take that time to listen to music. So like Prince was saying, incorporating all the senses, like my feet are feeling something, my ears are hearing something, you know, my face is, getting a great steam bath, you know, and all that other stuff. And I'm really one with my thoughts. Now, if I can transition that shit to the morning, that'd be great to start my day that way. But I'm intentional about it happening at night because I know that that'll help when it comes down to my restoration as I'm sleeping. You know, I'm in a relaxed state of mind and, you know, I'm able to ease into sleeping better. So that's right now self-care, you know, for me. And doing a little bit better with prioritizing, doing a priority list as opposed to just a long-ass to-do list. Like, what are the top 3 fucking things I need to do today, you know, and making sure that it gets done. And right there, that's kind of where I'm starting with self-care. I know that it'll expand, but that's where I am at the moment.
Well, I suck. Honey, I suck with self-care. Okay. I just recently found out that is a generational cycle that I've been put here to break. On both sides of my family, they were sharecroppers. And they did not have the luxury of resting. and caring for themselves. You know, they went from being sharecroppers to being entrepreneurs. And as we all know, being an entrepreneur is no cakewalk.
Yeah.
And I am type A. So I personally feel like if I'm not working hard, then I've not earned my right to be here, right? And that comes from where, right? So part of my self-care is asking those questions that most people don't think to ask. You know, getting into a habit of burning the cape.
Yep.
Right? This idea that I have to do everything and be everything to everybody at all hours of the day and night. You know, prioritizing who needs me at what moment. Yeah. Right? And oftentimes it's me needing me. Yeah. You know, understanding that there's versions of myself that need different things at different point in times in my journey. Yeah. Right? So now that we're in Leo season and everything's about creativity, you know, the younger RemeD needs a creative outlet. There's only so much creativity you can do and hoodoo. Okay. Right? It's only so much you can do. And while hoodoo is a creative spiritual practice, it does not feed the creative, you know, itch that needs to be scratched right now. Yeah. And so my self-care now is, you know, DIY projects. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And at some point in time, because money was very limited in my household, my mother would let me, you know, repurpose everything. And I would turn them into vases, or I would turn them into, you know, wreaths or things like that, just to keep my hands busy, you know. Other times it's sleeping, you know, other times it's, and I thought for a long time that self-care was, oh, I'm going to go get my nails done. No, that's maintenance. Yeah. You know, getting my hair done, that's maintenance. That's not self-care, you know, and various parts of my identity need a different level of self-care. Yeah. You know, sometimes it's crying. Because I don't cry, right? Sometimes it's just sitting in complete silence because I'm always on the move. I'm one of those people that wake up and I immediately grab my phone. The worst, right? The absolute worst. But it's a habit because I have to show up in my business, right? So now I'm in a space where I'm like, do you really have to always show up? In your business, you know, creating boundaries is a form of self-care, right? As long as you are treating yourself the way that you expect other people to treat you, then you can, you know, pretty much balance out your happiness, so to speak. But if you don't have any boundaries, you know, everybody is like, well, I need you, I want you, I need this money, I need this favor, I need you to come do this, I need you to come do that. No. You know, no is a form of self-care.
No is a form of self-care.
No is a form of self-care.
That's my hardest one. Yeah. That's my hardest one because I'm so kind and giving. And I love everybody. It's like, can I do that? But even if I can, though, sometimes I'll be like, man, you know what? I ain't trying to do that.
I don't need to. Bro. I don't need to. You know, I've like decided to create this virtual ministry. You know, membership is free. Okay. It's the fuck you and them people ministry. All right. Yep. And by fuck you, I mean, pardon my language. Okay. The versions of yourself that prevent you from moving forward, self-sabotage, you know, as Prince was saying earlier. And then those people, the people who you try to explain, but you don't need to explain yourself to. Come on. Fuck them people.
Fuck them people.
Right?
Fuck
and that's so
people.
liberating because so many of us feel like, well, if I don't come through for you, then you're going to be upset with me.
Okay.
You know, if I don't loan you this money, then your whole world is going to fall apart. If I don't come to this baby shower, then we're not going to be friends anymore. And the reality is that if that's the truth, do you really want them in your life to begin with?
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
So reevaluating friendships, that's a form of self-care. Reevaluating, you know, the positions that people play in your life. In school, one of the things that my professor stressed to us was the importance of understanding that everyone can renegotiate their roles in their relationships. And because we were talking about couples and family therapy, we were talking about a man and a wife or, you know, a immediate family structure. But the same can be true with you and your boss,
Okay.
you and your coworkers, you and your best friend, you and your homie lover friend, you and your pastor, you and whoever you enter into relationship with. You have to renegotiate your role. You should always be looking at the people in your circle and saying, you know, do you still deserve to be in your spot? You know, I don't watch sports, but I do know that the starting five ain't always the starting five.
Facts.
Right? And it's a reason why.
Yeah.
They understand that we want to win. In order to win, there's certain people that can stay in these 5 slots or certain people that need to be moved around, you know? And often when you hear about the starting lineup, it's about a relationship and a man that got about 4 or 5 women. But as an evolved individual, I understand the purpose of that because you get comfortable.
Absolutely.
Right? There are people in your life that are comfortable with asking you for things before they ask you how your day was. You know, it's people in your life that are comfortable with you putting your health on the line as long as it means that they got what they needed out of you. And you don't look at those relationships and say, hey, how are you feeding me?
Yeah.
Right? Many of us are in relationships and we're malnourished. And you have no idea how much you would grow if you were properly being fed. You're constantly pouring from an empty cup. So part of my self-care is at different points in time, like seasonal, right? Like it's, you know, maybe in the summer I want to have fun, but when I get ready to go into the winter and the fall, I understand that that's the time that you start planting seeds.
Yeah.
Right? And if I'm going to plant seeds, I need people that's going to help me water those seeds.
Yeah.
Because I know that I water any seed. Right? I'm a seed waterer.
Okay.
So I need a few people around me that's like, yo, I can water these seeds. As opposed to trying to dig up those seeds before they even have the opportunity to grow into something. You know, and when you start identifying, you know, those people in your life, you'd be surprised at how your blood pressure goes down. How your headaches cease. How your food intake or even alcohol intake has a tendency to change. You know, there are people walking around here with the energies of your friends and family, and you wonder why.
Yeah.
You know, you wasn't drinking like that before you met that person.
Right.
Right? Because you do understand energy goes from one person to another.
Yeah.
So you can pick up somebody's demeanor.
Yeah.
Right? And take it on as your own.
Yep.
So constantly being aware of the people I have around me is a form of self-care. You know, getting rid of people, you know, kind of doing like a jigsaw type of thing with people is very important. And as I get older, I understand why, you know, my mother's circle was so small.
Yeah.
You know, why my brother's circle of friends are so small. Why, you know, it's okay to just be you and your 2 or 3 chosen few.
Yeah.
Because evolution is not something that everybody ascribes to attain. You know, and it's really unfortunate. And as long as people are willing to keep you where they want you to be, they will never encourage you to be all you can be. Right? And a form of self-care at this point in time for me is being very cognizant of the people who have seen me before I've seen myself, and they are willing to either let me be my greatest self or keep me where they feel most comfortable with me being. Right? And that's so important. You know, I move so fast, but when you give me a moment to put 2 and 2 together, okay, I can get 8, I can get 16, I can get 100. Okay, I will clean house.
Yeah,
right?
Seriously. And I appreciate you again elevating that, because we don't think about that as being self-care, like cleaning house, taking a deep look at relationships, right, and how they're serving us, right? Like, is there this reciprocation? Is there, you know, this fullness, this wholeness, right? Can everybody eat, you know, and everyone is edified? As opposed to, well, damn, after fucking around with you, I'm drained. Okay, like, what's this about? You know? So I definitely appreciate that.
That's some people right there that be like, I missed your energy. I know.
That's the one.
I know.
I know.
You miss my energy? You ain't miss me?
Seriously. And that takes me to thinking about a specific time, right? And this was this year, you know, where I'm like just having like this person in very close proximity, right? Like I began to have like physiological effects with them being around, like gastro problems. I was like, there's nothing wrong with me, but it was because of their presence. Seriously, right? Like my presence was helping them, but their presence was not helping me.
And just to take it a step further, you know, thinking about not only the physical but sexual, right? There are people you're engaging with sexually and you are taking on their spiritual baggage, if you will. And you can call it, you know, whatever you want to call it. But it's a reason why, you know, this idea, and it's so funny because I hear men talk about it more often than women, but I put her ass to sleep. You wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to put me to sleep.
Right.
That ain't how that works. You're not supposed to put me to sleep. If anything, sexually, energetically, we should have walked away from that experience more enlightened. Instead, I walked away depleted. A version of myself was killed during that process, and you got the best part of me. And as women and men, because equally, you can't have the act without it. I don't care how much you know, do what you do on your own. Try to keep it PG-13. You know, regardless, you both equally hold a certain amount of power. And when you're both healed, right, and you're operating in your highest self, you should be seeing, you know, you should see something close to God. Okay.
Shooting for the stars.
Right? You should be, and I'm not even kidding. Right? You should literally be seeing sacred geometry. Right? It's kind of like looking through a kaleidoscope. That's what you should be seeing. You know, every part of your brain, the amygdala, the hypothalamus, the, you know,
cerebellum,
the cerebellum, you know, all of the various parts of your brain should give you this experience that is that of enlightenment, not you feeling drained and completely depleted and now you can't function. Right? There is nothing healthy about that. You know, and energetically, you're not cleansing yourself. You cleaning yourself, you got Dove, you got Summer's Eve, you got, you know, St. Ives and all these people. But you're not cleansing. There's a huge difference between cleaning and cleansing. You know, and spiritually, you know, in terms of your sexual conquest, you should be purging.
Okay.
Like, legit purging. You know, so being very mindful of the energies that you attract. And you have to understand that when you have good fucking energy, you're going to attract bad fucking energy because that's just how that works. But you have to be discerning enough to say, oh no, your energy doesn't mesh with my energy. You know, instead we try to force things because we've not understood the power of our energy.
Absolutely. What is this? The 5th time we're ending the podcast at this point. All right. All right. We will end with this question, and thank you guys so much. I knew this one. I'm like, they're going to get all the gems. They're going to get a nice earful. Like, people will be able to tap into just a zen or their own sanctuary as they're listening to episode 10 from all of the things that you guys are able to bring, you know, to this episode. So shout out to that. Shout out to that. I appreciate that. And so the final question that we'll end with is, what do you do to get outside of your comfort zone? What do you do to get outside of your comfort zone? And as we shared so much about purpose, right? Like, you can't be in the comfort zone of purpose, you know. So, who would like to share? Go ahead, Mr.
I would say, because I'm really not a social person, I would just like try to like, for what it's worth, I don't know what is antisocial and introverted and extroverted, ambivert.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called.
Yep, a mixture of both. Yep.
So I think that I'm mostly introverted, but like with people that I know, and I know that I can, because I don't like surface level talk for real.
Yeah.
So just trying to create new relationships. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Like when I'm trying to create new relationships, it forces me to get out of my. It forces me to like talk to somebody new, or see what they like, or do things of that nature, because I really like. I don't like. I have a stigma maybe that people don't really. A lot of people don't think like how I think.
Yeah.
So when I approach a person, it's almost like now that I don't give a fuck no more. It's cool that I'm approaching them and just being myself. But back in the day, it would just be like, damn, how do I because I don't like surface level talk, how do I really get into what I want to get into, or hopefully this person doesn't think that I'm weird by the things and my ideologies and things that I think about.
Yeah.
For real. So really, I would just say building relationships with people and just understanding other individuals. I mean, it's easy for me to understand other individuals because I'm an empath, but I would say motivating other individuals in the space that I once was is how I get out of uncomfortable spaces, because I can see myself in them. So, when I'm able to see myself inside of you, and then I just tell you exactly what it is that I would have wanted to be told at that time. So that's one of those things, is just building those relationships and motivating. Definitely helps me to get out of my own head and out of my own comfort zone.
Facts. And I would say for me, getting out of my comfort zone, I can be very fixed. Like once I got an idea in my mind, I'm like, I got to see the shit exactly through, exactly how I saw it. And that doesn't leave wiggle room, right? That doesn't leave wiggle room for if the shit don't work out, or if someone wanted to add another suggestion to make it better. So getting out of my fixed mindset at times, you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm realizing how sometimes how that fixed mindset has showed up and played out in some of my romantic relationships. Okay, because I'm like, nigga, I didn't see it that way, and it's happening in a different way. This cannot work. And they're like, what? So for me, getting out of my comfort zone to really being truly open to hearing and receiving others, giving space for that. That's definitely where I can use a little work. And then I'm really trying to do better in, making sure that I'm incorporating, I'm cognizant, I'm conscious, right? That everything is not Melvina's way. That other people have a voice too. So, and giving a for real, like, clear and safe space for that to take place. So, yeah.
I would say getting out the bed each morning. And actually being okay with the sound of my voice. Right? Like, I know that what I have to say needs to be said, but I'm not sure that I should be the one saying it. Right. So being comfortable with my voice, the cadence, the tone, the sentence structure, the occasional F-bomb here and there, because mother likes to season her sentences with profanity, right? And oftentimes, maybe the message gets lost in translation. And then also being so vulnerable, because I understand that I teach from my experience. So I can't teach you without telling you my story. Right? And for me, the biggest part about facing that fear is understanding that if I can talk about it, that means that it no longer has control over me.
Come on.
Right? But that doesn't mean that it's easy. Right? Because there's always that fear of judgment. There's always that concern of, whose feelings am I going to hurt by telling my truth? And when you come from any Black household, you understand that our business is nobody's business. So you are constantly working on what you've been told as opposed to what you know you need to do. And just showing up every day and saying, hey, even though I don't feel like it, there might be someone that needs to hear what I have to say right now. Yeah. There might be someone that needs to, see me show up, and making a conscious decision not only to show up for them, but to show up for myself. Yeah. I can't make myself this sacrificial lamb for everyone else. Come on. Yeah. Right? Like understanding that, today is a day where I'm not feeling it. Well, maybe you don't have to push it the way you did yesterday. Maybe you just do something a little lighter. Yeah. Right? But you're still making a conscious decision to not, fall backwards. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's uncomfortable. Yeah. Because my bed is very comfortable. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And I have a vitamin D deficiency. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not clear, then you can mistake this deficiency for depression. Mm-hmm. Right? And so I went through a period of time where I could stay in my room with the blinds drawn and it's completely like pitch black, and everybody would be like, yo, are you a vampire? Like, no, it's just really comfortable in here, but it's dark and you don't have any lights on. So when I went to go see my primary care physician, she's like, you have low vitamin D. Yeah. And as I started taking the vitamins and changing my diet, now I can open up those blinds and I'm, really okay with the sunlight. But even in the midst of going through that, no one would ever know it because I still showed up. Yeah. Right? Remaining in a space of objectivity where you're not allowing your personal experiences to impact the work that you're doing. Right? Like that's uncomfortable because the conversations that I enter into can be triggering sometimes. Right? So now I have to go and check those emotions after, the conversations or the work, that I do, especially with, the oracle card readings that I do. A lot of the time that I will cry through your reading because I can feel that energy that you've not released yet. Yeah. Right? And that requires me to be vulnerable to a complete stranger on camera, and it's yours to keep forever and ever. Amen. Right? Right. But just getting out of the bed every morning is forcing me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That was a great place to land. Great place to land. And so I really personally want to openly thank the both of you.
Of course.
Oh my gosh. I said the people who can birth the vision, your names are both on there.
Absolutely.
And I thank you all so much. Prince, once I came to you with this idea, you've been able again to take a thought that then became something that was written on paper to now where it's international and literally over 200 and something people are listening or have listened to season 1. That could not have really happened without you,
Yes.
For you putting your flair, you being able to have such a divine creative ear, and we've been able to connect for that to happen. I do not take that lightly, so shout out to your mom for
thank you. I thank you for even allowing me to be a part of this creative process.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I really do. I know that anytime I've press record and then stop and send it to him, I know it's in good hands. Yeah. So I do not take that lightly. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, Prince. Like, seriously. And of course, RemeD. Oh my gosh. Like, just from our conversations, our friendship, for you to be able to be the first person to hear that this is what I wanted to do. And you was like, go, bitch, go. Go be great. Go do it. Yes. And for you to faithfully listen, for you to give your feedback, not only to do that, but even to be a guest on here and to share authentically who RemeD is, and just the people who've been able to be blessed from that. I thank you all so much.
Thank you.
For making
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
I am so flipping proud of you. This is like, of course, you've been cussing through I'm motherfucking proud of you. Do you understand? Let me tell you something. I don't think you all, I think we talked about it in my episode, but me and Mel worked together years before RemeD was even RemeD, right? And she has always been very, oh my God, what's the word that I'm looking for? Spiritually, she's always been able to connect. And I think because of so many things at that time when we started working together, she was dealing with the very surface level version of who she thought she was supposed to be. Right? Absolutely. But being a storyteller, being someone who has always been in search of the truth, right? And a person's truth, helping them get to the essence of who they really are. You know, she has always been able to do that. So creating Melvina Motivates, it wasn't just for Melvina. Right? Like, you have a ministry that has been put here for such a time as this, because there are so many of us who at the height of this pandemic did not think about our younger selves, right? We did not think to consider all of the traumatic experiences that we've endured and how they play out even in our adulthood. And each episode, you give your listeners the opportunity to do self-examination, right? Even if you're not ready to go to therapy, which I highly suggest that, you know, you do. It's a beautiful experience. But even if you're not ready to invest in that, asking yourself very important questions, or at least seeing yourself in these stories, you're like, yo, I can relate to that. You know, where did that come from? And oh shit, it makes sense because I went through that and that's why this relationship didn't work, or I went through that and that's why this job didn't work out, or, you know, even when it comes to purpose, you making a conscious decision to give up on what you thought was a life dream of yours, to be an educator, right? And that speaks to what purpose is in the assignment. Your purpose is education, just not in the way you thought it was supposed to be, right? And you starting this podcast and this ministry allows you to show people that you're not too far off. If you're willing to follow the breadcrumbs, if you're willing to be obedient, if you're willing to be uncomfortable, if you're willing to look like a goddamn fool, right? Because I'm sure there's people that's like, yo, you gave up that $50,000, $60,000 a year job to make a podcast. There's a million podcasts, but it's only one me. Right? There's only one story that's mine that I can tell to change the lives of the people that's connected to my purpose. That's huge, right? You give other people permission to speak their truth, or at least to figure out what their truth is. Right? Many of us have been told who we are. We don't know who the fuck we are. Right? And it's people like us that give others the permission to at least ask that question. Who am I? Right? What are my biggest dreams? There are people that are afraid to dream. You've been robbed of your ability to dream. You give them their dreams back. You give them the opportunity to look at themselves. Melvina Motivates is the mirror that they can't escape. Right? So I'm proud of you and I'm grateful to you for, even in the most uncomfortable times of recording, you still send it to Prince and we all press play. So I'm proud of you and I'm looking forward to season 2.
Thank you so much.
I'm so
cool.
Even when you want to re-record and I'll be like, nah, I ain't even listened to it, but I know you knocked it out the park.
So thank you for that. I receive everything that you said.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much. So this is where we're going to officially end and land and coast our way into season 2. And so thank you again to every single person, even if I didn't call you by your name, for listening, for sharing, for commenting, for repeating, and all of the replaying was the word I was looking for. So thank you so much. This is where we are going to end season 1, and season 2 is going to be even bigger and better, and we're going to have more guests that are coming on. And again, I could not have had a better season 1 without the people that you guys got a chance to listen to during this time in episode 10. Again, if you want to know more about who Prince, Drive, and RemeD from FixdRoots is all about, you can go back into season 1 and listen to episodes 4 and episodes 8. And then you can hear us both together, all of us together in episode 10 in season 1. So thank you again, and I love you guys.